Okay, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depends on the time you're watching this video, guys. It's your teacher Wilman once again. I really hope you're doing great. Um, well, I'm here because we're gonna continue working on number 4, but this time we're gonna work on part 2, which is basically about writing and pronunciation. So pay attention to this because I think that it's two topics that are very important in the learning process. How to write, how to use some like um, let's say tips in writing and some others in pronunciation. So okay, once again, at the end if at the end of the lesson you have any question, then don't hesitate. You can ask any question. You can send a private message to my WhatsApp group, or you can just send an email. Okay, good. So let's get to work. Good. This is unit number 4, as I was telling you. Let me arrange something here. Okay, here we go. Unit number 4, Summit 2, second part. Okay, good. First of all, we're going to start with the writing section. We have an agenda here. Number 1, we're going to see what's the difference between a dependent and independent clause. What are coordinating conjunctions? What are subordinating conjunctions? And what are transition words? Okay, but we're going to start basically with transition words. Okay. So then we're gonna see what coordinating conjunctions are and what subordinate conjunctions are. But before this, we need to clarify the difference between a dependent and independent clause. Okay, because I consider it really important. So it is necessary in order to understand the other topics. Okay, transition words in English. Okay, when do we use transition words, or what do you use transition words for? Well, we basically use transition words when we want to link ideas or in a paragraph, or when we want to keep the flow, okay, in a text and between like contrasting paragraphs, or when we want to connect them. So we basically use transition words, okay? We have some categories for emphasizing. We have undoubtedly, indeed, obviously, particularly, and so on. We have to add information. We have additionally, an additional, furthermore, in addition, moreover, contrast, and like. Nevertheless, we have two other things like first, second, third. The result, as a result, as a consequence, illustration, comparison. Yeah, similarly, equally, those are for comparison. Summary, in conclusion, to summarize reason, because of conditions, in that case, concession, uh, all the same in spite of generalization. We have as a rule for the most part. So we have some categories here. So you can find this this picture on the internet. There is a website that is called esl.com, esl.com, and there you write, you search for transition words or linking words in English, and then you're gonna have this list. Okay. Anyway, if you want it, you just let me know, and then I can share with you. Okay, those are basically transition words that we usually use in English in order to keep the flow in a test, to smooth the test. So with transition words, we usually we just write a complete sentence. We use a period, we use a transition word, we use a comma, and then we just continue with the sentence. But there is another way. Instead of using a period, we can also use a semicolon. Okay, we use a semicolon, transition word, comma, and then we continue the sentence. Okay, later on, I'm gonna try to show you an example with this what I'm telling you about transition words. Okay, good. But now, okay, sorry. We're gonna see first of all, what's the difference between a dependent and independent clause. And at the same time, we're gonna learn what subordinate conjunctions are. So please pay attention to this short video that I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna sometimes stop the video in order for you to understand.
Be sure to have your notes in front of you to fill in as you go along. A clause is a group of words that has a subject and verb team. There are two kinds of clauses.
Okay, so as you can see here, she is trying to clarify what a clause is. Okay, in this part, you can see as she says a group of words that has a subject and a verb team. Okay, so a clause is a group of words that have these two things. We're gonna see that clauses have subject and they also have verbs. Let's continue. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Let's watch it once again.
Clauses. Be sure to have your notes in front, fill in as you go along. A clause is a group of words that has a subject and verb team. There are two kinds of clauses, independent and dependent. They both have subject and verb teams.
Okay, the first difference here, or the first thing that we need to clarify here is that a dependent or independent clause, they're not sentences. Okay, they're not phrases. They're just clauses. Okay, so that's very important.
The only difference is that an independent clause makes sense and is a complete thought all by itself. A dependent clause needs more information to be a complete thought.
Okay, this is basically the difference between an independent clause and dependent clause, because the independent clause, as she said, makes sense and it's a complete thought. You don't have to add anything else for the clause, to make sense. But in a dependent clause, you will notice that there is always something that is missing. Okay, there is something missing for the clause to make sense.
Here's how it works. The cat is sleeping. This is an independent clause. It has a subject and verb team and makes sense by itself. If I add the word when at the beginning, does it still sound complete? No, it has become a dependent clause because it needs more information. I want to know what happens when the cat is sleeping. When the cat is sleeping, the mice will play. Now it makes sense. Here's another one. I was watching TV. Does this sound like a complete thought? Does it make sense by itself? Yes, it does. And it has a subject and verb team. Does this still sound complete when I add while in the front of it? While I was watching TV. No, now it's a dependent clause because it depends on more information to be complete. While I was watching TV, my mom was cooking supper. Now that makes sense. Here's one more. I studied hard for my test. Does that sound complete and make sense by itself? Yes, it does. And it has a subject and verb team. Now read it. Does it still sound complete? No, it doesn't any longer. Because I studied hard for my test needs more information. Because I studied hard for my test, I earned an A. Now it's a complete thought. The words that I added at the beginning of the clauses are called subordinating conjunctions, or subordinators. Here are some examples.
Okay, as you can see here, she's talking about subordinating conjunctions now, or subordinators, because when we have an independent clause and we want to link a dependent clause to an independent clause, it means that we want to link these two clauses. We use subordinating conjunctions or subordinators, like she's saying, for example, since, when, if, while, because, who, that, which, as, although, whether, until, unless, in case, even though. So as you can see here, subordinating conjunctions are used to link dependent and independent clauses. Okay, when you have a dependent clause and an independent clause and you want to join them or to put them together, what you have to use are coordinating conjunctions. Okay.
I say that these subordinators weaken the independent clause so that it can't stand alone anymore. It needs more support to make sense and be a complete thought. So, subordinators turn an independent clause into a dependent clause. They both still have a subject and verb team, but the independent makes sense by itself. The dependent needs more information. Try to write 3 of your own examples on the bottom of your notes. Start by writing an example of an independent clause or simple sentence. Then turn it into a dependent clause by putting a subordinator at the beginning. I look forward to seeing your examples tomorrow.
Created using Powtoon.
Okay. So, in summary, we need to say something. Number one, a clause is a group of words that contain a theme of a subject and a verb. Okay. When we have the difference between a dependent and independent clause is that an independent clause expresses a complete thought or a complete idea. Okay, but a dependent clause needs more information to make sense. Okay, so and what are subordinating conjunctions? Subordinating conjunctions are the kind of linking words that we use in English in order to put an independent and dependent clause together. Okay, so I hope it's clear. Then we're gonna do some exercise. So okay, let's continue. The next one we're gonna learn are coordinating conjunctions. Okay, so far we have transition words, we have subordinating conjunctions that we usually use in order to link a independent clause and a dependent clause. Okay, so now we're gonna learn coordinating conjunctions. What are these ones about? So we usually call them also fanboys, as you can see here, fanboys, because coordinating conjunctions are only 7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have for and nor, but, or, yet, and so. So as you can see here, we say fanboys. Okay, that's like an acronym in order to remember the coordinating conjunctions. Okay, but let's watch in order to discover, to figure out what it is about.
Coordinating conjunctions are small words that connect 2 independent parts of a sentence. We can remember.
Okay, here's the first difference between a subordinating conjunction and a coordinating conjunction, because as I told you, a subordinating conjunction links one dependent clause to an independent clause. But in this case, we're just learning that a coordinating conjunction is used in order to connect 2 independent parts of the sentence. It means 2 independent clauses. Okay, here we don't have dependent clauses. If you have a dependent clause and it needs to be joined or it needs to be linked to an independent clause, then you have to use a subordinating conjunction. But if you want to connect 2 independent clauses, then you have to use a coordinating conjunction.
With the acronym FANBOYS. For, and, nor, but, or, yet. So, take a minute and memorize them. If you know these words, you'll avoid a lot of comma errors. Fanboys are connectors, and here are some notes on punctuation. If fanboys are connecting 2 words or phrases, you don't have to use a comma between them. The office party will feature cupcakes and lobster. Commas are also not required if the fanboy connects two verb phrases. We can either order lobster or stay within our budget. If the fanboys are connecting items in a series, use commas between each item. The accounting department will probably recommend cupcakes, celery sticks, and water. If the fanboys connect independent clauses, however, insert a comma after the first clause and before the fanboy. Jane will bake some decoy cupcakes, and Larry will sneak in the lobster. Remember that an independent clause is basically just a sentence, and you can't mash two sentences into one sentence without something between them. That's when you get run-on sentences. Divide them using one of the 7 fanboys.
Okay, as you can see here, that's what I was telling you, that here we use a coordinating conjunction in order to link two independent clauses, because if you say Jane will bake some decoy cupcakes, then it is an independent clause. It makes sense, it's a complete thought. And if I say Larry will sneak in the lobster, it is also an independent clause. It makes sense, okay? It doesn't need any extra information in order to make sense. So we're just linking these two words and these two clauses, sorry. So we need to use this, a coordinating conjunction, in this case and we also use a comma. This is very important, don't forget it.
Now, there are lots of subordinating conjunctions, but there are only 7 coordinating conjunctions, the fanboys. Remember that coordinating conjunctions connect clauses of equal strength, and when they do, they need a comma. Casey is an introvert, yet he actually likes office parties. Do these fanboys need commas? Practice punctuating these examples. Office parties tend to be boring, awkward, or awesome. Yes, use commas in a series.
Okay. I'm sorry. Wait up. I wanted to clarify something here. I want to show you something.
Use commas in a series.
Okay, pay attention to this. So it says office parties tend to be boring, awkward, or awesome. So as you can see here in Spanish, I want to clarify this because in Spanish sometimes the students get confused because they don't know if they should write a comma here or not. But pay attention, well, in English, when we separate items in a series, we have to write a comma before or, and it's the same thing when we use and. Okay, like for example, yesterday I went to the cinema and we ate popcorn, ice cream, and coffee. We say popcorn, comma, ice cream, comma, and what did I say? Okay, we ate popcorn, comma, ice cream, comma, and chocolate. Okay, so we have to use a comma till the last item. Okay, as you can see here, we say boring, awkward, comma, or awesome.
Let's hope Larry and the boss don't get into a fight over the lobster. And is a fanboy, but it's connecting 2 nouns. No comma.
Okay, in this part, pay attention. What does it mean that it's connecting 2 nouns? It says, let's hope that Larry and boss don't get into a fight over the lobster. Here, as you can see, the action here, don't get into a fight over the lobster, it's just one action that 2 people are doing. Okay, so that's what it means when it says and is connecting 2 nouns. So we're talking about the same sentence but 2 nouns. So in this case, there is no need to write a comma. Okay.
Casey loves cupcakes, but he doesn't like lobster. The fanboy but is connecting 2 independent clauses. Use a comma. Larry breeds genetically modified lobsters after he finishes his workday. No comma needed here. After isn't one of the fanboys. It's a subordinating conjunction, not a coordinating one. So learn the fanboys and use them confidently.
Okay, so coordinating conjunctions are those connectors that we use in order to link two independent clauses, okay? But we have some exceptions, like when they're talking about the same noun, we don't use when they were talking about the same, about two nouns. So same action but two nouns. Like my mother and I went to the cinema. In that case, my mother and I use and, but I don't use a comma. Or yeah, and when we use or and in order to talk about items in a series, then we need to write a comma till the last item that we're talking about. Okay. So the next thing that we're gonna study here is this. Okay, but first of all, I want you to go to the writing part, which is on page 133. So as you can see here, we have for unit number 4, grammar for writing, more conjunctions and transitions. So we have like the category here. We have to add information, to clarify information, to illustrate, to show contrast, to express cause and result. And we have the three different connectors that we have: coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, and transition words. So here is basically the explanations I was showing you in the videos. And I want you to please go to this page, and you're gonna do exercise A, and I want you to do as well exercise B. Okay? So as you can see here, it says on a separate sheet of paper, combine a pair of sentences two ways. One with the connecting words in A, and ones with the connecting words in B. Use a semicolon before transition. Change the wording as necessary to retain the meaning. So what I wanted to show you here about a transition, as I told you, the way that we use transition words, take a look at this. In other words, okay, as you can see here, in a coordinating conjunction, we just use a comma, okay? Good. Or let's say, let me see, a subordinating conjunction. We also use, now that they have a new baby, comma, we use commas here, okay? Subordinating and coordinating conjunctions. And but pay attention when we use transition words, which is the last column here. We use similarly. We use a period. We write a sentence. We use a period, transition, comma, and then the other sentence. Or as you can see here, we have a sentence here, period, transition, comma. Okay. Another way to use this, or another way to use it, is like this. We can also write a sentence, write a semicolon, then we write a transition word, and then we write a comma. Okay, you can say smaller cars are more efficient, period. In other words, comma, they use less fuel. But you can also say smaller cars are more efficient, semicolon, as it's here. In other words, comma, they, and then you complete the sentence. Okay, that was what I wanted to tell you about transition words. We can use period, transition word, comma, or we can use semicolon, transition word, and comma. Okay, so I want you to do this exercise. Okay, it says John is a bit of a perfectionist. His brothers are pretty easygoing. Okay, so please, we're gonna work on this. You can start the video and then you can just like write it, do the exercise. Okay, you can start the video, we practice, and then we continue. Okay, here are the answers. That's why I told you to start the video, because here we're gonna see the answers. Okay, answers for number 1. It says, while John is a bit of a perfectionist, comma, his brothers are pretty easygoing. Okay, or B, you can also say John is a bit of a perfectionist, semicolon, in contrast, comma. His brothers are pretty easygoing. Okay, here are the answers. You can see them here. You can like stop the video and then you can check. Okay, good. Okay, now in part B it says clarify what B said, thought, or meant. Complete each class sentence using the underlying information. Are you excited about going on vacation next weekend? Actually, what I'm excited about is getting to see my aunt and uncle again. So did you think your boss was going to lose her temper? On the contrary, what I thought was that she was going to. As you can see here, the verb to be is in singular because we're using a noun plus a subject complement. Okay? And here is in singular too because we're talking about an action, as I told you. Okay? Here, it's 6:15. I thought you said you'd be here at 6. What I said was that we should plan. Here, once again, the subject complement is a noun clause, so we need to agree the verb to be in singular. Okay? Good. So what did Gary mean when he said his tablet caused an arm and a leg? What he meant was that it, once again, a noun clause as a subject complement. Should you be eating that cake? According to my doctor, what I should be eating is nothing. Okay? Singular. So exercise C, you can stop the video too in order to do this exercise and then you can check the answers. It says write clef sentences with it to clarify who, what, when, where, or why. As I don't know if you remember, but you remember the first video, my sister wanted to talk to my boss at last night's dinner, so that I was showing you that in one sense I can emphasize my sister, and the other one the boss, and the other one last night, and the other one at last night. Okay, so in this case it's the same thing. One says it's feeding a parrot a lot of work. Are you kidding? It's cleaning the cage. That's a lot of work. Okay, number 2, did Gina write that song? No, it was her sister who wrote the song. So you're emphasizing here or clarifying information in this case. So because we also use clef sentences in order to clarify information. So number 3, will the traffic be really bad at this time? I don't think so. It's usually at 5 that is bad. Okay, number 4, these cookies are so good. Tense, it's because I added nuts that they're so good. And number 5, in that case, in number 4, it's why. Okay. Number 5, aren't we supposed to meet Jason at the coffee shop? No, it's at the bus stop where we're supposed to meet John to meet him. So as you can see here, it's where and why, time, people, and in this case we're using an object. It's clean the cage. Okay, good. So okay, let's move to the next part, which is the pronunciation section. We're gonna talk about something that is important to know. It's because sometimes when we talk or we talk to someone, we speak with other people, sometimes the information can be confusing. So we're gonna need emphatic stress in order to clarify some information. In our agenda, we're gonna see 3 things. We're gonna see what's emphatic stress. Number 2, what can we stress any word? Or how do we change emphasis with pronouncing? When pronouncing. Okay, number 1, what's emphatic stress? Emphatic stress is when you stress a word in order to clarify information. Okay, in order to be clear, okay, with your information. Number 2, can we stress any word? You know that we have like 2 kinds of words. We have function words and we have content words. Content words are the ones that contain meanings that you remember that when you close your eyes, there is a picture in your mind. So those are content words. Function words are grammar words, words that when you close your eyes and you think about them, you don't have any picture in your mind. For example, if you close your eyes right now and you think about the word for, then maybe the word for comes to your mind, but there is no picture about the word for because that's not a content word, it's a function word. But when we talk about shift to emphatic stress, we can stress any word. It doesn't matter if it is a content word, it doesn't matter if it is a function word, because sometimes we'll need to emphasize some function words in case of the object pronouns, for example. Okay, so how do we change emphatic emphasis when pronouncing? So that's what we're gonna see right now. Okay, so as you can see here, we have emphatic stress. We have shifting emphatic stress. We usually use this in English to change emphasis within a sentence, as I was telling you. It says each of the following words or sentences can be stressed in 4 different ways, depending on the meaning that the speaker wants to convey. It means that the speaker wants to show, or the speaker wants people to get. Okay, look, in the first one we say, I don't love him. In the second one we say, I don't love him. Number 2 we say, I don't love him. Or in the last one we say, I don't love him. Okay, what does it imply when we say, I don't love him? The implied meaning is that, but she does. It means like, it's like when you say, I don't love him, but she does. I don't love him, but she does. Okay, in the second one, we say, I don't love him. It means I really don't. It's like someone saying, like, you love him, right? You say, no, I don't love him. It's like you're emphatic, like you don't do that. And number 3, I don't love him. It's but I think he's a nice person. So you say, someone says like, hey, you love that guy a lot, right? And you say, no, I don't love him. I just like him. I just like him, but I don't love him. Okay. So in that case, you emphasize love because you want to clarify that it's not love. It's just a simple like. And the last one, it says, I don't love him, but I love the other guy. So you say like I don't love him, but I love the other guy, the one that is over there, but I don't love him. Not this guy, but the other one, okay? In the second example, it says, I may drive to New York, not she. Again, once again, I'm being emphatic with the pronoun, with the subject, sorry, which is in this case, I may drive to New York. The second one, I may drive to New York. Maybe, I'm not sure. I may drive, but I'm not sure. So in that case, you emphasize the verb may because what the meaning that you want to convey is that you're not sure. It's not something that is really sure. Okay, maybe that's gonna happen, but that's just a maybe. Okay. Number 3, I may drive to New York. I may drive to New York, not fly. I may drive. Okay, drive to New York. In that case, you emphasize the action. It's not flying. It's not swimming. It's not sailing. It's just drive. Okay, driving. And the last one, it says, I may drive to New York, not Boston. So in that case, what you want to clarify, well, in this context, is the city where you're driving to, where you're going to be driving to, or where you may drive to. You say, I'm driving to New York, not Boston. Okay? So this is basically shifting emphatic stress. But we're going to see some other cases in which we have to use emphatic stress. In contrastive stress for clarifications, what lies behind us is what lies before us. Our tiny matters compared to what lies within us. Within us. So notice how the stress words emphasize a particular meaning or a need for clarification. Pay attention. We say, do you need a ticket to Paris from Paris? Okay, in that case, you emphasize to and from because you want to clarify the destination. Okay, Number two, did you say inside or outside? So as you can see here, what we emphasize is the preposition. We say inside or outside, because in this case, maybe someone's confused with the location of something, and then you need to clarify inside or outside. Number three, I want two pieces, not one. Okay, I want two, not one. It's like I like the blue car, not the red one. I like the blue, not the red. So in that case, what you emphasize is the color. Okay, number four, it's under the desk, not on the desk. In that case, you're clarifying the location of something using the preposition. And as far as you can remember, um, we don't stress prepositions because prepositions are function words. But as you can see here, as I was telling you, we can stress in this case when we talk about a contrastive stress for clarifications, which is part of shifting stress. It's like somewhat related to shifting stress, but it's the way that we stress words in order to clarify meaning. So we emphasize prepositions. We say it's under the desk, not on the desk. Number five, the government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. Okay, in this case, prepositions as well. Okay, so contrastive stress for clarifications is basically the way that we stress words in order to clarify what we want to say. And the next one we're gonna see here is emphasizing auxiliaries. So notice the extra stress placed on the auxiliaries to clarify or strengthen a point. It says the underlying word indicates extra stress. Number one says, you don't understand me. I do understand you. I do understand you. You know that in this case, we use this structure in English. We say, I do understand, I do like, I do love, I do play, I do jump, I do swim, I do. We use the auxiliary do with the verb when we want to say I yes. Like when we say you never come to class and you say I yes come to class. But in English we don't say I yes. We say I do come to class. It's when you want to assure something that you do. Maybe someone says that you don't do that action, but you want to clarify, you want to be emphatic that you do that action, and then you say I do understand you. Number two is the same in the past, but in the past it varies a little bit because we have to be careful that when we say I did, we cannot say I did when. We say I did go. We just write the verb in the base form because we are using the auxiliary. Okay, so look at example number two. It says you didn't go, did you? And then I say I did go. I did go. So in that case, I'm emphasizing auxiliaries. I did go. Number three, it's hot, isn't it? Then I say it is hot. It is hot. So in the case of the verb to be, we don't have any other auxiliary. We just use the verb to be. And what we usually do is to emphasize or to stress the verb to be. We say it is hot. Number four, you've never been here, have you? And letter B, it says the answer is like I have been here. I have been here. I have been here. Okay, so that's the way that we emphasize auxiliaries when we want to clarify the information that we're saying. Okay, good. So we're gonna go to page 145. It says shifting emphatic stress. This is the pronunciation booster. So it says you can shift stress within a sentence to change emphasis. Place emphatic stress or keywords to get your meaning across. It means to clarify your meaning. It's just to the meaning that you want to convey. It says that letter A says, I think I'm too critical of other people. Really? I don't think I am critical enough. In this case, this person is saying that he or she is too critical, and then this person says that it's not too, it's enough. Okay. In this example, I don't think I'm critical enough. Really, I think I'm too critical. Here is the contrary. Someone saying that I think that I'm not critical enough, and the other person says, okay, in my case, I am too critical. So what's the meaning that we want to convey in this case? The difference between enough and too. Okay, this part. I think I'm too critical of other people. I don't see you that way at all. I am too critical. In that case, I am clarifying that it's not you. Okay, it's me. I am too critical. So I think I'm too critical of other people. Really? Not me. At least I don't think I'm too critical. It's like I'm not going. I don't think about it. I don't think it's that way. Okay, we have some exercises here. I want you to practice on your own. It says study each conversation, paying attention to emphatic stress. Okay, here the words are in bold. I'm, opposite, always, something, angry, never, that. Those are the words that they have to be stressed. Okay, good. So guys, this is the end of the video for today's class. This is the second part of the video, and I wanted to explain this to you about writing, about pronunciation. I hope everything is clear, and um, we're gonna be using some other apps here. And I don't know if I told you in the first video, but I want you to be careful with my English lab, because in my English lab I can also upload some material. But later on, I'm gonna try to explain that to you. Okay, so we're gonna have a video conference, an online meeting. I think that I need to talk to you, because I need to talk, and we need to talk. Sorry, and we need to agree which day we can do it and what time, because I want to do it in order to clarify any question that you have about this unit, and before I send you the videos. Also, we're gonna continue working unit number 5, which is the next unit, and but I want you to do the reading part, the listening part, and I also want you to do the review and the test taking skill booster, because when we have our online meeting, I'm gonna check those like exercises. Okay, so that's the end for unit number 4. This is part 2. So let me see here. So as I was telling you, this is the end, and please subscribe to my channel if you want to receive notifications when I upload videos. Once again, I want to clarify, sometimes you're gonna see videos that they don't belong to the units that we're working on, because it belongs to the schedule from Monday to Friday. But it's okay. What you have to do is to go to the lists, to the playlist, and then you can like identify unit number 4, unit number 5, unit number 6, and then you click on it, and then you're gonna find all the videos related to unit number 5. Okay, so that's the end for today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your time. I know that sometimes the situation can be like overwhelming with a lot of material, working from home, but try to be calm, try to be collected, try to be like relaxed, try to like to set a schedule, to have an agenda where you can write down the things that you have to do. You can use your phones, your reminders, and your phone, and then in order to remember all the things that you have to do. But that's something that it's nobody's fault. So coronavirus is a pandemic that is spreading like very quickly. So it's better this way. So be careful if you have to go outside, and be patient. Okay, this is not gonna be forever, or that's what I hope. But we will endure this situation the best way. Okay, so see you guys once again. God bless you all.